Lord Lugard and Britain's amalgamation of northern and southern Nigeria since 1914 is the reason Nigeria has refused to grow and develop. This was the word of Chief Richard Akinjide, SAN, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice during the Shagari regime of 1979 to 1983. When the amalgamation took effect, the British government sealed off the South from the North, and between 1914 and 1960, that's a period of 46 years, the British allowed minimum contact between the North and the South because it was not in the British interest that North be polluted by the educated South. This was the basis on which we got our independence in 1960. When I was in Parliament, I entered the Parliament on December 12th, 1959. Quote, that was the word of late Chief Richard Akinjide on the 21st of April 2020 before his death. Late Chief Richard Akinjide explained that amalgamation of Nigeria was a fraud. He was specific and gave detailed analysis why Nigeria is a fraud. He must have been disputed by some group of people, but today it is widely open that Nigeria is a fraud. The politicians are fraud. The judges, the justices are fraud, displaying the word of Chief Richard Akinjide, SAN, who, before his death, explained that amalgamation that brought the North and the South together is a fraud. The political activities of the politicians who also understood that Nigeria is still a company, a royal company owned and directed by Britain till death, is not accountable to anybody except the directors. That is why you see today Britain will put their royal ship on Nigerian coastal waters to protect the oil they ship from southeastern Nigeria to Britain, just like they put their ship on the coastal waters of Atlantic Ocean to ship Africans, Biafrans, the Yorubas from the coastal waters to North and South America. Today, the Nigerian politicians, as they are called, are the slave masters of the present day. The slave masters of those days, of which the Oba of Benin, as we explained in the last video, and also the other agents in the hinterland, of which that included all the southeastern states today that were involved in the slave trade, cooperated effectively to depopulate the zone that constituted southeastern states, or Niger Coast Protectorate, or Southern Protectorate. The late former Justice Minister, after the review of what Nigeria is, his experiences as parliamentarian in the First Republic and Minister of Justice in the Second Republic, came to the conclusion that Nigeria is a fraud, and this fraudulent amalgamation only produce fraudulent politicians. This brings us to what is happening today in the political arena of the fraudulent Nigeria. They have refused to produce people's constitution, but are relaxed, the politicians I mean, and the populace are much relaxed to use a sole military constitution that makes it possible for Nigeria not to be united. And that is why people are clamoring to go back to the old system, of which before the amalgamation of the tripod nations that Britain used and are using to augment their economic purposes. Last election was embarrassment and a mirage to conclude that Nigeria is a fraud. It produces fraudulent politicians, fraudulent judges, and fraudulent elections. In this very program, we will use the All Progressive Alliance Party as a yardstick to measure the level of fraud in Nigeria. First, we will look at their presidential candidates. First, Major General Muhammadu Buhari as the president between 2015 to 2023. We look at their relationship with INEC and electoral requirements. A, sections 130 and 131 of 1999 Constitution provide eligibility guidelines for a presidential candidate. Section 130 of the Constitution says, there shall be for the Federation a president, and such president shall be the head of state, the chief executive of Federation, and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federation. Section 131 states, a person shall be qualified for election to the office of president if 1. He is a citizen of Nigeria by birth, 2. He has attained the age of 40 years, 3. He is a member of a political party and is sponsored by that political party, and lastly, he has been educated up to at least school certificate level or is equivalent. Independent National Electoral Commission Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu said on Friday that Nigerians who have an issue with credentials submitted by candidates contesting next elections are free to challenge such claims in court. Citing Section 31(3) of the Electoral Act as amended, the INEC chair said each candidate nominated by a political party is required to provide details of his or her personal particulars by personally completing Form CF-001 and to swear an affidavit at Federal High Court, a High Court of a state or Federal Capital Territory. Within 7 days from the close of submission of these documents, the Commission is required to publish the form in the constituencies that candidates seek to represent as required by Section 31(3) of Electoral Act 2010 as amended. This will give the general public the opportunity to view the affidavit of personal particulars of those who aspire to represent them. Any person with reasonable ground to believe that any information on Form CF-001 submitted by a candidate contains incorrect or false claims are at liberty to file an action against such candidate at Federal High Court or the High Court of a state or Federal Capital Territory. Abuja. Before we continue, please do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment at the comment section politely. APC as a political party has produced two presidential candidates that have had a problem of certificate, of which the news media call certificate saga. The first was former President General Muhammadu Buhari. Between 2015 till 2019, there was a problem of school certificate, of which the media termed Buhari's lingering certificate saga. It was observed that there were discrepancies in the last three presidential contests he partook in: 2003, 2007, and 2015. According to Premium Times, it was observed that he had consistently used affidavits in the place of his West African School Certificate, or GCE. Although he indicated that his credentials were placed before the military. By January 2015, Olajide Laleye, Director of Army Public Relations, then announced before journalists in Abuja that Nigerian Army does not have copies of Buhari's ordinary school certificate or statement of results, adding that his entry indicated he obtained a West African school certificate in 1961. The same issue repeated itself on the side of the current president, Ahmed Tinubu of APC. The same certificate saga has been threading and trailing the present president, Ahmed Tinubu of APC. This controversy has trailed the details of credentials submitted by the presidential candidate of All Progressive Congress, Ahmed Tinubu, in his filing to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Again, in the INEC form CF1 submitted on June 17, 2022, Tinubu did not provide details of his primary and secondary schools, as the spaces were left blank. He also did not attach copies of his certificate, which he stated in an affidavit. This was according to INEC disclosure. It could be recalled that Tinubu had in previous submissions to INEC listed primary and secondary schools attended as St. Paul's, Areloya, and Children's Home School, Ibadan, from 1958 to 1964, and Government College, Ibadan, from 1961 to 1971. He, however, attached a court affidavit stating that he lost all his credentials following raid on his home during the military regime in the 90s. In his latest submission to the electoral body, the former governor left the spaces for primary and secondary schools blank and stated that he obtained a BSc degree from Chicago State University. That is the part one of the APC presidents, General Muhammadu Buhari and Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The second controversy was on the issue of identity. According to the publication of Sahara Reporters, New York, of March 22nd, 2021, a Nigerian retired Army General, Colonel Tony Nyam, disclosed that the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, indicated publicly and said that he is from Niger Republic, a border by Libya to the northeast, Chad to the east, Nigeria to the south, Benin and Burkina Faso to the northwest, Mali to the west, and Algeria to northwest. Hello, my viewers. Do not forget to subscribe, share, and leave a comment as you listen and view this very video. We will continue. On the side of the current president, Ahmed Tinubu, he was asked this very question of identity at Chatham House in London, and we will listen to his answers and what he said.
It's inquisitive.
One would ask, as the signature of the person who filled the CF001 form and the affidavit which was sworn in the
family record, I didn't think then, that day, I've determined to be or decided to be a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not even that I will go to politics. I have a very good exposure in life. My record is consistent. And the school and the university, they question. They now confessed that they wasted their money and their time. The record is there. The transcript is there. So in March 1952, I'm not claiming another father. I am Tinubu and Tinubu proper. If they want a DNA, they could as well require for one. One of them has been even accused of not being a Nigerian citizen. I didn't touch that area. Yes. Equally, it remains the same. Deloitte, Chicago State University, where I graduated, has attested to that. Now I can announce that I've received my original replacement degree certificate from them. The Deloitte trained me.
Well, we have heard from him, and we continue. Federal High Court, Abuja, or State High Court. Why did INEC not react and take action? Although he has stated that persons who have vested interest should go through the forms and take actions if the form did not conform with the sections there above mentioned. It is this action that Mr. Atiku is now taken beyond the shore of Nigeria. Well, while this was going on, a civil society group called the Center for Reform and Public Advocacy did write Inspector General of Police Osman Baba Akale when he was the Inspector General of Police, demanding the arrest and prosecution of Senator Tinubu within 24 hours over alleged perjury. In a press conference or statement on Saturday, the legal advisor of the organization, Carlo Agu, said the Inspector General of Police had failed to act on an earlier letter dated June 16, 2022, accusing Tinubu of false information on oath, contrary to Section 191 and 192 of Criminal Code Act 2004, which he admitted he did not possess in Annexure C. These are the fraudulent activities that made Nigeria to be a fraudulent nation. Those at the helms of political affairs, the leaders are propagating fraud at a very high level. However, going back to the complaint of civil society group, Center for Reforms and Public Advocacy, what makes Nigeria to be fraudulent nation and to act like the British Royal Company that brought Nigeria north and east and west together? Where the group filed an order of mandamus to compel Inspector General of Police to perform his constitutional obligation in the interest of good governance, accountability, probity, and transparency, he did not do it because the country called Nigeria is not a country. It is a formation that helps to drill oil from the southeast and ship it to Britain and other Western countries as they did during the slave trade. This is only what makes Nigeria, and that is the only reason the Western world are supporting the amalgamation as to get all they needed for their economic purposes. While local agents receive their own payment and also feel relaxed, irrespective of lack of development, lack of good roads, lack of medical infrastructures, lack of social amenities, and other services. Yet, everybody feel relaxed, and the politicians who are receiving the crumbs are happy, just like slave agents who were receiving guns, jeans, alcohols, clothes to sell their people. This is exactly what the politicians of the present day are doing. And with this, we come to the end of this very program. We ask you to subscribe, share, and leave your comment constructively. Before we go, we have to let you know, unfortunately, those who have the interest of good governance, accountability, probity, and transparency are not allowed to encroach the system. That brings us to a question that now everybody has realized that Nigeria is a fraud. Do we go back to our original statehood of north, east, and the west to ensure that peace, equity, development, utilization of natural resources by each nation, and also to provide the necessary amenities for the people within each nation? With this, we come to the end of this program. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Bye.